gave me a decoration, gift in my pocket. He gave me everything. Another gift. You know what that is? This is a real gift. It's a special stone. This is starting from the origination of the CAUSA movement in Jamaica. We went to Jamaica. That was the day of March the 1st, 1983. And our Montego Bay, Jamaica. And on that morning we had a special pledge service. We went out to the ocean, picked up the 5 stones, and then took it back and presented to your parents. And then Father signed each one of them. Jamaica stones. He said 1983, March the 1st. The other side just said unificationism or Godism. You know, then the commemoration of installing Godism. That's the stone. And ever since they become a very sacred stone. And you know the secret now. I'm telling you all the secret now. See, why did Tom and Bill have such a great lectures capability? Because they're stone. Not they're great, but because of the stone, you know. Stone, they always carry it and put it in a pocket. So we always shake hand with the stone. The stone shake hand. You know, it's almost like a David's stone that he used for, you know, his sling to shoot down and to knock down the Goliath. This is our stone, knock down communism. So in every lecture we are giving in our primary CAUSA International seminar, we always carry the stone and then carry one in the pocket, on the right hand side of the pocket. So now, you know I'm speaking very, very powerfully because of the stone. Without this, I cannot be powerful. No? Right?
Maybe we get some from Camberg.
Probably you can come up with some idea tomorrow when the Reverend Kim comes and pick up the Camberg stone. And probably Reverend Kim, you have a stream here. And to bless the stone, and each one of you take one stone back. And that might not be a bad idea. Very important. You need a symbolism, some kind of symbolism. You know, that gave you always a power, very much power. And so I have a stone power. Yes, I watched this film many times. Many times. And as Roger said, I never fail to be moved by this film. And tonight, I will say something else. What do you think? The film that was made in 1978, now 1986, roughly 8 years ago, and I feel I get old quite a bit, didn't I? No? No? Are you sure?
Yes!
Are you telling me the truth?
Yes!
Nothing but the truth. Then I give you another secret. That secret is, when I went back to Korea this time with Father, the many friends who met me 10 years ago, my schoolmate, some cases military officers, and many important people who knows me long time, but who have not seen me the last 10 years. And I met them because this time, first time, I was in Korea for 6 months with Father. So you can imagine that I've been all of the places and going around all of the country, and I met the many old friends. The first thing they told me was that Colonel Park or Dr. Park, or sometimes Bohe, how come? What how come? You never get old. So I told them, do you know why? I have a secret. Because of CAUSA movement, you know this CAUSA, and always I'm going around the country to speak about CAUSA. Once you become a member of CAUSA, you get so busy and you have no time to get old. And furthermore, I told them, not only I have a blessing that I'll never get old, but you know what? I'm an even greater blessing. I have no time even to die. They really take me seriously. And that alone I could recruit a lot of members of CAUSA in Korea. Use the tactic. Use the tactic. And I feel that Henri and Tom and Bill and all the old, good friends. You've been to the United States, so many familiar faces here. You just look the same. And you know that our unification to life is very tough, very, very disciplined, and from morning to night, MFT trainings and so forth. You know how those lives is, and you know it. But the amazing thing is that our members never look tired, never look get old, and always bright. And the spiritual aura always around you. You are the different breed, different kind of people, because we have this true spirit, different spirit. So it is true, we will get no time to get old, and no time to die even. And we never die. I believe I never die. I never die. I tell you I will never die. I promise I never die. Well, sometime I may go upstairs, that's all. That's all. That's not death. That's not a death no more, Bible said. Death shall be no more. You never die. I never die. I never die. Particularly when we have a mission here on earth, we'll never die. So I'm one time kidnapped, literally kidnapped me. I was for 40 hours and kidnapped by bad gangsters. Now I was really resigned myself and prepared to die because at that time Father was in prison, so I knew somebody have to pay the indemnity. If anybody have to pay the indemnity, that must be Bohe Park. So when I captured, in a way, I was kidnapped, I knew this is it. This is it. This is why God allowed me to be kidnapped. But then if I put to death, I won't be here, right? That is that simple. How do I live? How did I come back to life? I mean, physical life, from the danger. They threatened me to be killed at 1 a.m. in the morning. And I knew time is ticking. I knew that time is coming. And I did not want to die cowardly. I want to die as a good Moonie. I want to die in the name of our true parents. So I shouted out, no watch, I cannot see anything, bound in the 2 chairs, naked body, I couldn't move. So I do not know when the 1 o'clock is coming. But I knew a great deal of time lapsed. So I was trying to be conscious. I don't want to be fainted. And I knew time is coming and near. There's some noises, people coming around me. Uh-oh, they come to get me. That point, I just squeeze out every ounce of energy in my entire body. And stood up with the 2 chairs. Shouted out, Camberg Manse, true parents Manse. Not only 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. It was like thunder, because that was my final Manse, so I certainly gave my power to it. Those enemies, captors, they're so surprised I was shouting out like that, and all of a sudden they came over me all different directions and pushed me down and strike me down and holding me down, and one guy brought out electric shock, 40,000 volts. They said, I didn't know, how do I know? But they told me. This will melt your brain, they said. They said, even if you live after you are shocked by the electric wave, you know, you will, even if you survive, you will be a vegetable. Because your brain is melted. They began to shock me in my back. That was not the fiction story. That was real. Until that moment, only place I can operate was my mouth. I was blindfolded, hand was tied, body was tied, neck was tied, foot was tied. And they said to me, you're trying to call the police. They thought my Manse was trying to call the police. No, I was not trying to call the police, I was trying to call God. But they say, you're trying to call the police, you don't know where this place is, so far away from the police station or even people live, nobody will hear you, you stupid, you decadent, you just dumb guy, you know. You're trying to shout it out that way and trying to survive that way, no good, no use. To stop the entire cotton ball into my mouth, then bound my mouth. So I could not even say a word. But you know, I keep saying, even with the mouth full of cotton ball, keep saying in my mind, I said, Habachi, Manse, Habachi, Manse, Habachi, Manse. So that any moment the bullet should at me, come at me, or knife come after me, or poison come after me, then I will drop dead probably some moment. But I want to drop dead with the final word, Abaji Manse.
You know, that was an incredible test for me. Test of faith. Test of Godism. Test of my loyalty to our true parents. Test of my endurance. And dress rehearsal, in a way, how to die. But I tell you, if you have assurance you will not be killed prematurely, that was a really good experience I want to go through. Because it gives such an incredible lesson, experience, that good for good moonies. But of course I don't recommend it because there's no such a guarantee you will survive. I'm always a believer. It is very important to be a good moonie. But the most important thing of all is to die as a good moonie. That means physical. We come to an end of physical life here on earth. We come to an end so that the spiritual life will begin. That transformation is such an incredible moment in everyone's life. Particularly our Unification Church life is so most important. As Jesus' disciples, one by one, they die heroically. When I look at the movie like Quo Vadis, it's the final death of Peter, or the story about, the most incredible story about the Stephen, the Saint Stephen. Now, Saint Stephen, that story really amazed me over and over. And tremendous lesson to all of us. When you read the Acts of Apostles, the Saint Stephen, when he was probably after Mark's upper room, there was a special descending of the Holy Spirit. And there was incredible persecution, as you know. All the Christians at that time, the first century, early days, one by one, is captured and put to death. Stephen was confronted in the marketplace with the Jews at that time, and speaking against them, saying that you stiff-necked people, you uncircumcised people, you unholy people, you kill the righteous one and save the evil. And when you read the Acts of Apostles, the language that St. Stephen spoke was absolutely clear-cut. There's no wishy-washy, it's black and white. It's condemning his own people as the murderer of Jesus Christ, who came to save you, save the world. And the word of conscience is so penetrating. The people listening to that message was so incredibly painful, because the truth is painful sometimes. Truth is very painful sometimes. So they were listening to the truth. And the truth was so painful, penetrating. It's really they're like an edge of the knife. This is why Father has been persecuted. Father speaking powerfully truth. The American people, they have to stop their ears. That's what exactly happened when Stephen was speaking in those days. They stopped their ears. They, like this. They could not hear anymore because their heart bothers. Even though they're evil people, there's some original mind, some conscious living, and that bothers them very, very much. So finally they pick up the stone and they throw it. So the Stephen was stoned to death. When he was stoned, about the time to lose his consciousness, he gazed up into heaven. There he saw enthroned, the right-hand side of the throne, Jesus Christ. The normally other places, Jesus Christ, the Son of God, was described to be seated on the right-hand side of God. But this one place, Jesus Christ was standing right-hand side of the throne of God. Why? Because they're watching over most dramatic, heroic, and the most incredible final act of Stephen. And Jesus Christ is ready to pick up his soul. So he was standing. And Stephen saw that vision. Then he shouted out saying, "O Lord, please accept my soul." And he died. Without those kind of incredible testimony about the first century Christianity, there shall be no Christianity today. They are the tradition. And today, we are living in this first century Christianity of 20th century, which is true Christianity under true parents. True parent Christianity. We are the first generation. We are in the first century. We are the ones setting the example. We are setting traditions. We are in a position of Peter, Stephen, St. Paul, James, John, Andrew, you name it. Each one of you is a historical figure. It is very, very important how to live to be good morning. Ultimately, prepare how to die as a good morning. Those who have that preparation ready, God will give that man and woman long life, fullest of life. Because in that man's heart, that woman's heart, there's no confusion. There's no confusion. Absolutely ready. So that we call absolute commitment. Men with the absolute commitment. That's the powerful men and women ever walked on the face of the earth. Committed men and women. Even though communism produced and generates such a committed men, millions of people die in the name of communism. But in actual sense, in the truest sense, they all die. Good communists all die in emptiness. Final moment of death comes, it's empty. Because that moment they believe in dialectical materialism, no God, class struggle, no spirit world, no eternal life, no absolute value. So the moment of the physical death comes, there's nothing for them to hold on. Nothing for them to holding on. So no communists die well. In the end, they all die in emptiness. This is the differences between truth and lie. They died for the lie. They thought there was a cause. But when the final moment come, there was nothing but emptiness. It is our pleasure, it is our privilege, it is our honor. We are always lead a life of fullness. Full. song is saying so beautifully, my cup runs over. My cup runs over. So my credo in my life, that is, I would never complain in my life. There's nothing to be complained about. I'm always grateful. Extreme moment like I'm kidnapped, bound in chairs, waiting for the moment of death. I was grateful. I was grateful that I have true parents. I was grateful because I have a name, the true parent, and I could be able to speak the man say for the true parent, which is eternal power, eternal authority. No power under the sun can chip even a portion of that great power of our true parent. Power of truth, power of love. Nothing can chip it away. So how grateful you are, I am. In any case, it was proven. The goal was, sir, it's not my life, my kidnappers. The goal was money. They're trying to squeeze out as much as money as possible. Then kill, probably. But then God gave me wisdom. Second night, do you know what happened? Mother appeared in my dream. I was just knocked down completely, totally exhausted physically because of the ordeal. So I was virtually, knocked down and sleeping. And Mother appeared in the dream and shook me up in the dream. And she said, Boy, do you know where this place is? How can you sleep in a place like this? Urgently wake me up. I was woke up in the dream. Then Mother told me, you've got to get out of this place within 12 hours. If you cannot get out of this place within 12 hours, you will be dead. You will be dead. You will be dead 3 times. Do everything within your power. Use your wisdom and get out of this place. Then I really woke up. And I was strategizing. Did some kind of power come upon me? Strategizing. How can I get out of this place? Without that dream, I would not have that power. Without that dream, I would not have that wisdom. It's absolutely no question. A true parent wishes for me to get out. Get out within 12 hours. Next morning came, captors demanded the money. I simply said to them, once and for all, to no hesitation, I cannot bring that money. I cannot bring that money. Period. Impossible. You just kill me. That is a lot simpler for you and simpler for me, because it's impossible to bring that money. But they were trying to persuade me, trying to call some kind of a bank, wire, and trying to bring in the money. I said, impossible. No way. Nobody will listen to my telephone conversation with the phone, because everybody knew by now that I was missing. If I call, everybody knew I was calling from your place, captive's place. And it's immediately invoked FBI investigation, and in the next couple of hours, you will be captured. I know that you will kill me before you fled. So I'm going to die anyway. So why should I do the foolish thing? It will not work. No good. Forget it. Impossible. Then they said, finally, after several hours of insistence, they said, how can you? What would you recommend? What would you recommend? Asking for my recommendation. I said to them very sincerely and quietly, look, if you really ask my recommendation, I have only one recommendation to make. As you said, you are right. Let me go. Let me go, and let me go to the bank and give you some money in that case. Give you some money in that case. Because after all, my life worth something. I don't know whether it's worth $10 or $10,000, I don't know. But at least if I come back alive and I go to the bank, that they listen to me, then I'll give you some money. Then I look at the watch. Uh-oh, it's 10:30 now. I have to go to Washington before 3 o'clock. Bank closed 3. Now I go to the airport, hour and a half time, then 1 hour flying down. In Washington, I'll be either 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock. I will be in time before bank closed. And I sincerely said that, with sincerity and heart. And he had no choice but to believe me. Then captain of the captor said, all of it, I was still naked. Oh, boy, they're bringing his clothes. Ties, watch, eyeglasses. One by one, everything came back to me. And have a car ready. The car was ready outside. So I put on the dress, put on the watch, put on eyeglasses. Without eyeglasses, I cannot see. This particular watch Father gave me, 1973, when Father was received a permanent residence in the United States. So this is a special watch. This is a protector. This is not just telling me time. This is telling the spiritual time. So I got to have it. Also, this special pin, tie pin, with a small diamond in the middle, the one celebration, I don't know which one, Mother gave it to me saying that Father asked you to wear it. So ever since I'm wearing this little tie pin, and when they kidnapped me, they took off tie it like this, pulled it off, and disappeared. And I didn't know. What did they do with my tie? Particularly when it's loosened up, it's loosened up, become like this, this can be lost. So when they pull my ties like that, I knew undoubtedly I may have lost this pin. So I was in my mind, when my necktie is coming back, when this little pin is still on the tie, I will live. If it's not there, I know I'm going to die. This is almost like my fortune telling. So when the person who brought me back my necktie, I look at nothing but this pin. I don't care about the tie, but I care about this pin, tie pin. When I look at, behold, there was a pin. So I must thank God, I'm protected. I'm going to live.
Amen.
So I put on the tie, eyeglasses, watch, shoes. Until then they were holding, tight, handcuffed. Handcuff was tied, untied. Then they asked me to walk out to the car. At that point, they really begging me to give them some money. For that reason, they all lined up, and on the way out, bow down to me. So I walk in as a captor, I mean kidnapped. I walked out from that house like a general. So I get in the car and everybody came out and waving hand, almost like that. It's not so good as good as the Mooney's waving hand, but it's pretty good waving hand. We call it dollar waving, Why do I say this to you? Because now I see, when I'm looking back at that event, God and true parent protected me. And God was with you all the time. I feel it to the bone. Without it, I would not survive. When Father heard in Danbury prison that poor Pa was kidnapped, Father did not sleep one bit. According to Mr. Kamiyama, he was lying down, like the prayer position on the top of his bunk. He prayed continuously. After 40 hours, Father was reported that poor Pa came back safely. Father was extremely happy. And then lie down, began to sleep for a good few hours. Mr. Kamiyama said, in my entire life, I never heard such a tough and a strong and a powerful snoring. It is my great honor. It is my great honor. So who saved me? Father. Then Holy Spirit, represented by Mother, came and I'm telling the truth. Give me the power. Give me the revelation. Give me the strategy. The Father and Mother together saved my life. Now I see, if I conducted myself at that time cowardly, not being a good Mooney, not prepared to die as a good Mooney, I tell you, I would not be here standing before you today. That's for sure. That's for sure. So I want you to know, each individual, you are very special. Under the protection of our true parents, under their protection alone, we can survive and we can fulfill and accomplish the mission. We can live in a rich life and we can accomplish a great deal, and we shall be glorified because of the true parents, not because of you and I, you and me. This is again the secret of the Unification Church. With this commitment, unflagging commitment to true parent alone, you can be powerful. There's no other power make you powerful. Nothing under the sun make you powerful except the power of your faith in true parents. That makes powerful, invincible, immortal. You never die in a true sense. People exposed to CAUSA movement, they feel it, this spirit. Particularly those people spiritually awakened, they feel it much more closely. So when they come to the access, contact with the CAUSA seminar, they always react. according to their own spiritual brightness. Some even more brightly, some little less brightly. But as long as people with the conscience always react as an able type reaction, favorable. I tell you, that same spirit in 1978, when Frazier came to attack Father and our movement, that was the time of, in the United States, at the height of liberalism. That was the highest time, high time for liberal power. Under the leadership of Jimmy Carter at the White House. Under leadership like Congressman Don Frazier on the House side. There was a Senate side like a Frank Church, McGovern, those era, those people. There was a high time for liberalism. Finally, they paid attention to wage a war declaration against Father and the unification movement. Because they did not like the Father's victory all previous years until 1976. You know, as you know, 1976, there's a bicentennial celebration in Washington. 300,000 or more people gathered together at the God Bless America Festival. And a foreigner like Father coming from the Orient do that kind of celebration in Washington, unprecedented. From that point on, Father said that was the height of the persecution that invited incredible attention of the communistic left-wing liberal media. They brought the incredible persecution completely zeroing onto Father. So 1976, this was 1978. 2 years later, all kinds of investigation was taking place upon us. From the Senate side of the Senate, Robert Dole is conducting what they call the hearing on cult. And on the House side, there was a Thompson Park, Korea Gate, and Unification Church. And the Father was a target, but they decided Father was a religious figure in order to attack before they attack Father, because they don't want to be offended as offensive against the religion. So they want to have evidence. In order to get the evidence out, as the old good old saying goes in Korea, if you're going to shoot the general, shoot the horse first. That horse was me. So they want to shoot me down. They want me to surrender in the Frazier Committee. So there are all kinds of confession. They want to use it as a witness, and by which they want to bring Father in. In fact, as a matter of fact, Father was already given the subpoena. At that time, Father is in Great Britain. That was the reason they could not get Father too quickly. But they want to concentrate on me, so that they want to shoot me down. The horse is down, they want to go after the general. So when I see those situations, I come to the absolute conclusion that I, the horse, must stop the enemy. I never allow the enemy to come to my general. I want to stop the horse with the enemy right there. So knowing that that was coming, I went to see Father at the East Garden. Then Father told me, fear not. This is your opportunity to fight to the end, to be bold and strong, as the Father always said. Fight, be bold and strong, and like David. So that his Father told me, you are the David, going against the power of Goliath of the United States government. So you go as a David. Immediately, I prepared my testimony in the U.S. Congress. I put the word David on top of it. David for he pop. Then I read the Bible. I want to learn the David tactic. David did not win really because he's the great marksmanship, great shooter, most powerful man. No, he was a little boy. But when you read the Bible, the David confronted Goliath in the name of God. That was his weapon. I'm coming here in the name of God. So he was absolutely fearful of nothing because he confronted Goliath in the name of God. So I decided to confront my enemy, Goliath, the Frazier, Congressman Don Frazier, in the name of our true parents. That was my weapon. I decided to fight it out to the end without fear. I decided to become, even go to jail, or become a prisoner, even go to the martyrdom. Whatever that thing can happen to me, I will be grateful. I was going into the U.S. Congress 5 times. Each time I went 1 hour earlier, and I prayed 1 hour before anybody come into the test hearing room. I prayed in the name of our true parents. I was there sitting like a rock. No power under the sun can move me. I'm here to fight to die. That was my commitment. So this film, in a way, expression of the good Mooney heart, the spirit of the Father. Therefore, this movie is very inspiring to me, inspiring to many other people. I'm not watching my own face or Paul He Park acting simply because soon I forget I was in the movie. That was one man summoned by the Spirit of God and be used as an instrument of God. I was an instrument. So if anybody asks me, can you do the same? My answer is, I do not know. I'm very humbly confessed, I don't have no good answer. Of course I will try, but whether I will win the same victory, I do not know. Because that was not me. That was the Spirit of God, Spirit of true parent, using me as his instrument. This is another important point. Each one of you are here as an instrument of the true parent. When the true parent, the Spirit summon you, empower you, you become invincible, almighty. You can do the miraculous thing. This was my proof. It was one man, none different from you, and they were summoned by the Spirit of God and confronted the enemy as an instrument of God. That's why it's inspiring. The spirit that is the movie engendered, that makes me powerful. It makes all of us touched. Matter of fact, this film has been translated into many, many different languages. From English, first of all, to Korean. The Korean movie title is not Truth is My Sword. Their title of the movie is I Am a Proud Korean. That was their title. They want to have that title better. They like that title better. That's okay, all right. You use it. Because I said I'm a proud Korean, and all the Korean is very deeply touched. Under those circumstances, I say, stick my chins out, say, I am a proud Korean. They like that. Oh, they like it. They like it. So they translated into Korean, and the movie is made in Korean language. So English language a little down, and the Korean translation dubbing on top of it. It come out very powerfully. I tell you, 9 out of 10 Korean men and women are having tears in their eyes when this movie is over. And they began to respect Father. Thank God. This is beautiful. Once they see this film, they began to respect our Father as a great man. Because Reverend Moon is the mentor, the mate for hip hop. Today's for hip hop is a product of Reverend Moon. I'm a product of Reverend Moon. I was not like this before. I was very ambitious, selfish, opportunistic young man. I was sent into the military academy in Korea, hoping that someday I would become a general, star on my shoulder. That was my ambition, very simple, very ambitious. But when I met Father, I dropped the ambition of the star. But I was ambition of a spiritual star. Now, one time there was a meeting in Paris. The many generals came, an International Security Council meeting. The Korean four-star general, General Lee, came, and he went through the conference, and he went through the CAUSA conference. At the end of the CAUSA conference, we asked him to say a few words, and he went up and he said, "Now, Dr. Park said," and he just retired as a lieutenant colonel, and one day he was trying to become a general, but he could not reach the rank of general. "But I'll tell you," he said, "the way he conducted himself in the U.S. Congress, he deserved 5-star plus one more." So he said, "I'm a 4-star general," so he's not a colonel, he's a 5-star general, a 6-star general. So in front of everybody, show my respect and admiration, I want to salute to Dr. Park, that he saluted to me. That's incredible. Incredible. And that really Father's spirit that changed my life. And this language is, translated into Spanish, Japanese, even Japanese. Japanese doesn't like Korean, frankly speaking, because of the historical background. But in Japan, this movie becomes so popular, and everyone who comes to see this movie, they said, "Oh, Reverend Moon, it is not Korean people are doing that, only Reverend Moon is doing it." They doesn't necessarily capitulate to the Korean spirit, but they are willing to capitulate under Reverend Moon's spirit. I said, that's perfectly okay. Matter of fact, I'm Mooney, instantly have tremendous respect and admiration to Japanese members, Japanese leadership, Japanese movement. Because in this time, in this juncture of the history, of this plantation history of our true parents, without Japanese movement, without Japanese dedication, without Japanese members' sacrifices, Father's dispensational work would have been slow a great deal. Slowed down a great deal. I know how much they are truly loyal to our true parents, contributing to our true parent work. So I am a truly admirer and a praiser. I'm always praising Japanese movement and the leadership. Let's get Japanese. One time I asked Father, Father, I'm sure in heaven there is very different, classification. Right place, a little left, right, left, right, left, right, and highest place, a little low place, but all good heaven. Don't worry about that. But then I said, Father, I think right next to you, Father, your own palace in heaven. I want to give the next best place should be reserved for the Japanese membership. I said, that much I really feel. I want to take off my hat, pay my respect and admiration. What they do in Japan, America, Europe, especially in the United States, it's incredible. We, our brothers and sisters, must know this very clearly. So that even though there must be some Japanese cultural differences, language differences, custom differences, but beyond that, I want you to know one thing. Without the Japanese movement and dedication, the Father's work would have been slowed quite a bit. For that reason, I really give my wholehearted support and admiration and applause to Japanese membership. I want you to know that. In any case, even this movie is very popular in Japan. And in Japan, they saw this film, they said, this is not usual movie. They said, ordinarily, men from Korea and Japan in US could not conduct, like that, impossible. That must be Reverend Moon's extraordinary spirit, which is true. So Japan, they show this movie very great deal, because that's the way they can increase, engender the respect of the Father immediately. This is shown on national television in Bolivia, South America. We showed to the one CAUSA seminar. In the end, I didn't know such reaction. But they reacted almost like a little child, almost like winning a football game. Everybody stand up and gave an incredible applause. I said to probably Tom, Tom, what's happening here? Why does people like this film so much? It's nothing to do with Bolivia. I never spoke about Bolivia. I never said a word about Bolivian people. Tom explained to me, this is sort of an underdog spirit. South American people feel they were under Big Brother, United States, always overpowering them, tell them what to do. Sometimes they feel like to hit them somehow, but they don't know how to. They don't know how to do it. But then you did hit, in a way, the bad U.S. congressman, hit on their behalf. They feel so good. In fact, the Korean people feel like that too. They have a lot to say to the United States, but they couldn't say it, and they don't know how to say it. But this film, is safe for them. So this film has an incredible, so many different facets. It's translated into French, and I'm sure some other languages as well. And I want you to know, this is a blessing from God, that I have been given this opportunity to really represent Father in a united Congress. Because of this, I become a very popular person in Korea. And most of the Korean people never forget this film, because it's one time shown on television. The whole country watched it, and they teared together. There was many episodes during the film. I mean, not the film, but during the Fraser fight, 1978. As I said, several months' time, I was sort of summoned to the U.S. Congress for 5 times. But all public, they decided. But after the first 3 public meetings, they decided that the remainder of the 2 meetings, they want to do it in closed session. I knew that was a turning point. I knew I was winning the victory. Because Fraser wanted to make it at a big fanfare so that they want to expose to the world how evil Unification Church is, how the evil Pohi Park is, how evil the Reverend Moon is. But instead, every meeting, instead he's making a point, I am the one who's making a point. Normally, they normally allow one occasion to have opening remarks. Second meeting on, the witness, summoned in the middle, in the center, in the way down, and the chairman sitting in a way high place, almost like a judge, and the witness has no chance to say anything on his own. He only is supposed to, he was supposed to answer the question, period. Just answer the question. But I insisted, Mr. Chairman, if you don't give me the opportunity for me to speak on my side of the story, I would not answer your question. That was my tactic. You put me in jail, you pull me down and drag me down the street, do as you wish, but I will not answer your question. So that's the way every time I was speaking. The one time there was a battle of time, right? I want to have 19 minutes 45 seconds. He said, uh-oh, no, you come again. No, I only give you 5 minutes. I said, no, Mr. Chairman, I need at least 15 minutes. I'll give you a little discount, but I have to have a 15 minutes. Well, he doesn't like that at all. He was so mad, he was almost issuing and ready to issue contempt of Congress. That is a crime. If you disobey the congressional chairman, that he was conducting official duty like a judge, you disobey him, you contempted the Congress. So they become a crime. So he was just about to really, so mad, ready to give the contempt of Congress. That point, one congressman sitting right next to him, a little bald-headed with the black, frame eyeglasses, heavy-set, he was Congressman Dwinsky, Republican. He was speaking to the ears of Chairman. Apparently, he said, apparently, I could not hear it, but later I know what he said. He said, Mr. Chairman, don't give him a contempt of Congress now. It's not too wise. That means we have to go to the floor. Entire House of Representatives floor voted, confirmed the contempt of Congress. That's a big event. If the United States Congress voting on me, that was my big victorious day. I do not look at it as a defeat. I was waiting for that day. So they were apparently saying, well, don't give him contempt of Congress. I will counterattack on your behalf. So let him speak. Let him speak 15 minutes. Let him speak 15 minutes, then I will come back, defend Mr. Chairman for you. That was the deal. So they look at the clock. Then he said, all right, Colonel, let's split the differences. So we'll give you 5 more minutes, 10 minutes. I said, no, sir. I need 15 minutes. He said, okay, run the clock. Okay, 15 minutes. So I won. So I gave an incredible testimony against Frazier. And he was so painful. So he kept looking at the clock. Oh, this is such a long, painful, so painful. Look at the clock again. He wants to have the time is over very quickly. So that he is expecting that Congressman Dwinsky come out and defend for me. He thought, defend for the chairman. He was waiting for that opportunity. See, it was just, one point he said, because inside was burning, so hot. Look at the clock. Look at the clock. 15 minutes was over. I gave my most powerful attack on Frazier. Most powerful attack. and is condemned as a KGB agent. You were the agent and a spy of the Soviet Union here on the Hill. You know, it's just incredible. You know, and there was the New York Times, there was the Washington Post, and the media all over the places. There was the house full, completely full. And when that was done, he was expecting that Count Dwinsky, put up a good defense. The time come, I ended my testimony. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Dwinsky pulled up the microphone and ready to speak. Colonel, how come that point? What happened? Electricity shut off. Blackout occurred. Blackout. Completely blackout. That moment was so tense. Everybody in the room was completely shocked. Particularly our members. There's about 100 members inside the room. They were so overjoyed. They said, "Bravo, Manse, Abadi Manse!" Usually when you shout out something like that, you know, policeman is coming, pick you up and throw you out. But that point, the room is so dark, who knows who said it? About 1 minute at that point, I was sitting, tears trickling down my cheeks. I felt Heavenly Father touching me, patting me, and I almost hear the voice saying, "Pohi, you little boy, you have nothing to tremble about. You know I'm here. You know I'm here with you." I really felt that kind of fatherly talk coming from heaven. Don't worry. Don't you know I'm here with you all the time? I was so empowered. I was crying, tears running. About a minute later, electricity came back. But the amazing thing was, in the United States Congress, there was no such a thing blackout. Because they have a full generator. There's no such a thing, hurricane or anything can black out the electricity. Impossible. In 200 years of U.S. history, there's none. But another amazing thing is this. The other buildings are okay, except the Fraser building blackout. There was a hallway, electricity. The bathroom, electricity. Only Fraser rooms. So something happened in that room. So anyway, it was so shocking that happened at that particular moment. I know now God is such a good timing. Oh, incredible timing. You cannot keep up with God's computer. He was timing so perfect. So it just, everybody's heart was shaken, including the nasty New York Times reporter who was sitting there. He was shocked. Uh-oh, what's going on here? What's going on here? And Dwinsky is the one who most shocked. So 1 minute later, electricity came back. Dwinsky holds the microphone, and they look up the ceiling like this, and he said, apparently someone upstairs didn't want me to speak. They asked me to keep my mouth shut. Simply, he could not attack me at that point. He lost his power. Absolutely new atmosphere. At that point, our members in the auditorium once again, even the lectures are all shining, everybody said, Abaji Manse once again, Then Chairman Fraser got so upset, so pale, so mad, but he doesn't know what to do. He cannot cite the contempt of Congress. He just announced, well, we adjourned the meeting for 25 minutes, we'll come back 25 minutes later, and he walked out. That's how I was avoided. I avoided being cited the contempt of Congress. How can you tell? How can you say that God is not with us? During the 6-month battle in the U.S. Congress, the many Korean people knew, and they were reported in the Korean newspapers, uh-oh, this time Paul Hee-Pag is in trouble. Uh-oh, that guy is in trouble. That guy is in trouble. Because trouble is so incredible, because what they're saying is just incredible. So some Korean members, not members, Korean residents in America, they met me in New York and Washington. They look at me several times like this. Are you saying Dr. Park? Because they expect me to be old, ragged, old gentleman, have a bending like this, almost spiritless, almost like a walking coffin, walking in a dead body. They expect me, the poor Hee-Pag was so completely knocked out. So by now he was an old man, working like this. But then they saw me, you look better than ever. What happened? I never felt in my life so good spiritually during the time of my fight against Frazier. I never felt so well. I never slept so well. I never ate so well. So I never looked that well in my life. God would be with me. God was with me. By the way, several months later, when the Frazier was completely defeated in Congress, I went to say thank you to Congressman Lewinsky in his office. He was a pretty good anti-communist, Republican congressman. By the way, he is working in the State Department now. He just dying to have one lunch with me. I didn't have a chance yet to meet with him, but he would just want to see me. But anyway, when he was a congressman, yet still, I went to his office with our sister, Lori Entlock, the PR team sister in Capitol Hill. And we had a good talk, 40-minute chat. So I was taking his time too much, so I said, Congressman Lewinsky, I'm taking up your time too much. I gotta go. All right? Thank you. Thank you for this time. And I'm standing up, trying to extend the hand and shake hand with him. Then he said, Dr. Pop. He said, Colonel. He already called me Colonel. Colonel, would you mind sitting here just one more minute? I have one more question to ask. I said, no problem. Oh, my time is okay. No problem. What's your question? So I sat down. He said, Colonel, do you remember that day? How did you do it? I said to him, how? What? What? How? What are you talking about? You know that electric blackout, You remember, don't you? Yes, I remember. How did you do it? Congressman Lewinsky, all along I thought you did it for me. Because that was real. That was real. Why? Because I was sitting in the middle of the floor. All the switches on the back of the wall. So I thought that the Congressman Lewinsky, to save me, that crucial moment, you kick the switch and turn off the light. That's the way I thought. He said, oh, no, Colonel. I couldn't claim that credit. No. I cannot get that credit. Is that so? Well. Then, there's one other logical explanation, I told him. That is, God sent down, as he did in the time of Abraham, the angel. Let the angel kick the switches. That's the only logical explanation. I believe in God, I believe in living God, I believe in angel, the same God who helped the angel. Why not? Why not he can help me? So this is the time of my emergency. I'm a poor man and suffering because of governmental persecution. I know God sent down angel. He said, well, that's logical. Actually, even now, I really do not know how that happened. It really, for me, is God and angel, period. I don't know which angel God sent down, but angel did it, because I just don't know. Simply, how could that blackout happen? Another interesting point was, I want to be a subject in that congressional hearing room. I never want to be a sort of a poor, dragged out, almost like a criminal. They treat me like a criminal. I don't want to be treated like a criminal. I want to be treated like a decent son of God, period. I'm a son of true parent. So I was dressed well, hair groomed very well. That's why the picture looked very handsome, didn't it? So I really, dyeing my hair, and I cut the hair, and I ties, and bright ties, and I have a special tie, we call it Fraser tie. Fraser tie. Wear the tie, and I go there, and 1 hour pray, and then the testimony, and the struggle begins, and sometimes 2 hours, and 3 hours, and 4 hours. At the end, everybody get tired. Then the congressman the chairman said, well, the next meeting is going to be held such a date and such a hour, and you come here again. That point I said, Mr. Chairman, I stand up. Mr. Chairman, you are a Christian, I'm a Christian too. It is a U.S. congressional tradition. You begin to convene the meeting with the prayer, and why not? We end this meeting dedicated to God and in prayer. I want to pray. What could he say? And he certainly doesn't like that at all. Oh, he was absolutely disturbed. But he's a very shrewd, cunning politician. He's really a politician, not political leader. He was a politician. And he looked around, and he saw the television camera there. He saw the New York Times there, Washington Post there, and hundreds of people there. Particularly disturbing to him was the media from Minnesota, where he was running for Senate. So what could he say? He said, well, he doesn't like that at all, but what could he say? He said, come on, if you like pray, go ahead, pray. I stood up once again. Ladies and gentlemen, let us pray. I prayed loud and loud and out loud. I prayed the Lord's Prayer, so that everybody knows we are the Christians. We are following the Bible. I pray, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done. And so forth and so forth. And finally I raised the voice and said, thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. And all the members behind me said, amen. So hearing them turning to a great church, Unification Church. Second time come around. This time I also have a different tactic. Second time, at the end of the testimony, I did not ask the permission of the chairman because I already got it. Why should I ask every time, I simply stood up at the end of the conference and said, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, let us pray. He hated me. He looked at me with a dirty look. Very dirty look. He didn't like me at all. And the third time come around, he knew my tactic. So this time he didn't want to give me a chance. So at the end of the conference, he picked up the whole thing, you know, the books and all the papers, and bring it up, and he said, "Ladies and gentlemen, you know, I have to go to my campaign trail in Minnesota. My charter plane is waiting at the airport. Boy, I was already 15 minutes late. Boy, I gotta go." And he stood up and ran to the door. Just running to the door. But fortunately, the door was not right next to him. The door was way down there. So he had to go down all the way across the hall. So I said out loudly, "Ladies and gentlemen, let's say, in order to get our Congressman, Frazier and our chairman, in order to arrive Minnesota safely, let us pray." After the third meeting, he was completely capitulated. I was the chairman, I was the subject, he was a criminal, he was the object. He didn't like it. So he announced, "No more public meetings. No more public meetings." At that point I knew I am winning. I am winning. Father is winning. Unification Church is winning. That was a great feeling, great feeling. You know, I was really, once you're committed, you can do so many things. Once you're committed. I use my head. You know, I want to speak to the American public through the television. But you know, ABC, NBC, and CBS, they never give me a chance to interview in front of the American public. They would not give me that kind of thing. They want to ridicule me, mockery out of me. But they never give me a decent chance to interview. So I want to create an occasion, shocking occasion, where I can speak to the American public. One occasion was that Frazier is going to cite me contempt of Congress. Or he was so mad, make him so mad, so that he lost his good, balance, and he can throw at me something. I was waiting to have Congressman Frazier throw at me his coffee cup. I have 2 things ready. I have a special testimony, 3 minutes. In 3 minutes, I can tell the whole story to the American public. I prepared every word. What to say to the American public. Truth. What is the truth behind Reverend Moon? Why the government is persecuting this? I want to tell the American public in 3 minutes. Because even 3 minutes too much. American media never use the 3 minutes, however dramatic. And maybe 1 minute, 30 seconds. The only occasion they might use the entire 3 minutes, when the Congressman Frazier was so mad and I pick up the coffee cup and throw at me, then coffee cup flying, then instead of avoiding it, go and be hit by the coffee cup. And that hit the right in between the eyes, I dropped dead. Then become a news. Then it's a martyr. Unification martyr. Well, if that's the destiny, I dropped dead in the U.S. Congress, I would do it. Very glorious way to die. Where can you find any better place dying on the U.S. congressional floor? Or even I may not die. However, the cut to my forehead and the blood is coming out all over the faces, blood is all over, running down. That is a newsworthy. The camera at least likes that. They come and take picture. Then I'm going to read a 3-minute speech. I even prepared that much. But fortunately or unfortunately, I don't know which one, that opportunity did not come. He'd never throw at me coffee cup. But I really, every opportunity, I want to use the opportunity for the sake of Europian, for the testimony of our church, testimony of our movement, our Father especially. So this gave me tremendous occasion. And I repeated it. I say it again because I don't want anybody to miss my word. You instrument of the devil. And I expected a coffee cup flying. At least he was a very shrewd politician. To make a long story short, he lost his Senate battle because he waged a war against Reverend Moon. That is the truth. If he did not wage the war against Reverend Moon, he would have been in the Senate at the age of 54. Because he lost only with the 3,000 votes. 3,000 votes. And that day in Minnesota, there was incredible rain, torrent rain, that rained like a Noah's Ark to flood judgment, judged the Congressman Frazier, because his support was in the city, and the vote is in the city, and all the farmers, good Catholic, and the Minnesota Catholic do not like the Congressman Frazier's abortion politics, and so forth. They did not want to have Frazier elected. Normally, in a good weather, 75% of the city people vote, 25% of the country people vote. But because of torrent rain, it turned out to be that 25% of the city people voted, 75% of the country people voted. How can you deny the power of God again? Oh boy. Well, still a long way to go until 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. I brought you today as a gift from Washington, the Washington Times, July 4th edition. And I'd like to have a whole box here. Each country leaders, Carl, you distribute according to a different country and a different national leadership. And we celebrated 100th birthday of the Statue of Liberty. Therefore, this was most brilliant celebration in the United States. Washington Times made probably the most beautiful newspaper. I wish I could have brought the Washington Post so that you can compare. You never have such a beautiful paper in entire country, anywhere. You never have this kind of paper. This paper, Washington Times, is a father's paper. Heavenly paper. This paper is really saving the free world. This paper is saving Central America, Nicaragua. This paper is saving SDI, Strategic Defense Initiative. These are all the key issues of the American foreign and defense policy are absolutely critical for the survival of the United States and Europe and the rest of the free world. There are papers in Washington known to be a crusading newspaper. Crusading newspaper. The President Ronald Reagan read this paper every morning. This is the only paper that reached the President Reagan bedroom consistently. We have a good friend, Mrs. Reagan, who is allergic to Washington Post. Who could not have even Washington Post come even near his bedroom. So that President would not have opportunity to look at Washington Post. Because Mrs. Reagan said, Washington Post, one glance in the morning ruined the entire day. Next issue of Insight. Insight is a weekly magazine. It's becoming an incredibly important magazine of the United States. By the way, next issue is Senator Laxalt, who may be next President of the United States. Who knows? Shall be a cover story. We have many candidate cover stories, like Jack Kemp cover story, and cover story on Israel, his cover story in South Africa, and Jack Kemp liked this cover story so much. In his campaign, he wanted to use it, so he asked us, paid all the money. He printed special editions just for his article alone. There's everything about Jack Kemp. Send the 100,000 copies. He paid the money. And this is the way. Israel liked this copy so much about the true story about Israel, for the reason they reprinted. This is also reprinted copy. And by the way, Senator Laxalt, we virtually, Washington time, saved the Senator Laxalt the marriage. What does it mean? Senator Laxalt, one time, we had the meeting in the reception, and I met the Senator Laxalt and the Mrs. Laxalt. And complimented about the Washington time, and he said, you know, you asked my wife, virtually Washington time saved our marriage. What does it mean, saved your marriage? Then Mr. Laxalt explained to me. She said, before the Washington time, there's only one paper to read in the morning, Washington Post. So when the breakfast time, when the Washington Post is presented to Senator Laxalt, he look at the pages, he becomes shouting, you know, very unhappy, mad, and cursing, and shouting, and soon he began to throw the coffee cup and complain to his wife, why this coffee is so not tasty, you know. And the wife simply could not put up with, you know, Senator Laxalt's madness. Then the Washington Times came along, two papers on the breakfast table. And he picked up the Washington Times first, and going through the page and after page, began smiling and smiling and smiling, then began to say, darling, your coffee is so tasty. Get another cup." So she said, Washington Times virtually saved the marriage. So I'd like to have several copies in your place so that you know our father's paper is so beautiful, how wonderful in the United States. In speaking of Nicaragua, I'm sure you heard a lot about Nicaragua, movie, testimonies. Simply I want to testify. If anyone is saving Nicaragua, that is Father. Father is saving Nicaragua. Without Father, there's the military aid is given to Nicaraguan freedom fighters. It was May the 1985. The $14 million aid is voted, down for Nicaragua. That means the United States is ready to give up Nicaragua. At that time, Father was in the Danbury prison. Then the revelation came to Father. God literally shaped Father up, saying that my son, you got to intervene. Without your help, Nicaragua shall be lost. That was the revelation, and the Father was awoken. Next day morning, through Mother, there was a special meeting in Danbury prison. Father called me, and through Mother, and the Reverend Kwok, and Ambassador Han, have a special meeting conducted in the Danbury, and Father asked me through the Washington Times to announce fundraising of $14 million for the freedom fighters in Nicaragua. If U.S. Congress rejects it, we will give that money to them, Father said. So we have a special front page editorial next day, which brought in tens of thousands of dollars. Father asked me to spend that money to take out the one full-page ad in the major newspapers, New York Times, Wall Street Journal, Los Angeles Times, and so forth, all of the country. And the headline said, Central America burning. United States Congress fiddles. Fiddles. If the neighbor is burning, like a Nero, like a Rome, on fire, he was going up the top of the roof, he was singing with harp. That kind of attitude we compare with the Nero's attitude toward the U.S. Congress. The first one replied to that was, that is, the President Reagan. He sent a special personal letter saying that congratulations, that's precisely the way I feel, and the freedom fighters must be supported, and so forth and so forth, thanking our crusade. So we asked the permission from the President Reagan to print that letter in ad, part of the ad. And we again go on for advertising campaign. That is the beginning point of the public opinion turnaround. From that point on, 7 week time, U.S. public opinion was completely reversed. And by that time, United States Congress, $14 million non-military aid was reversed. And they increased it to $27 million and they unanimously approved by Congress. That was the beginning point. The particular $100 million military aid is continuous escalation of the good public opinion about Central America. And this time, Washington Times really worked very hard to win that vote. At the same time, the film you saw, Nicaragua is Our Home, through the PBS system, with the name of the father, name of the CAUSA International. You have seen that film, and that was shown all over the country, now still being shown, but especially in Washington, New York area, that film was shown before the vote. And the White House and the State Department come to a special recognition that Washington Times and Reverend Moon, CAUSA organization, and this movies, without it, they could not have won this victory of $100 million military aid. This is another victory, the second round victory. There will be a third round victory, fourth round victory, and we know we shall not stop until Nicaragua Libre can be pronounced. This particular insight, one of the important features of the insight is that there's a congressional report that every week how the congressman voted, we're reporting to the nation. In this particular issue, the Contra aid issue was voted. So any congressman, roughly 209 congressmen voted down. 222 congressmen voted up. So these are sort of Cain and Abel. That voted for yes shall be Abel. That voted down is shall be the Cain. And the next election, entire movement, the CAUSA movement and the good American, the churches and working with the Christian activist organizations such as Christian Voice, or the ACTIVE, that is the Council for Traditional Values, Dr. Tim LaHaye is leading, and the Young Conservative Foundation, led by the Reverend David Finzer, such a powerful organization, like Nick Pack, the Terry Dolan's organization, all these organizations working together with the CAUSA movement in America, we're going to vote it to 209 congressmen down. And, the last time we were there, and Tom and Bill, you were there, and the Father has a special conference on the all the graduates of seminaries. And the Father stressed the CAUSA is going to play the major role in next election through education process. We want to awaken the people, sleeping giants, particularly the conservative Christianity. We let them come out, become an active member of the political scene. Without it, the freedom of our free world, particularly, in Europe and Asia and Central and South America, never be secured. SDI is another battle. The Strategic Defense Initiative. This is one thing Soviet Union trying to shoot down. They don't want it, because this will nullify entire power of the nuclear arsenal. They don't want it. So they're trying to do every conceivable machination to stop the creation of SDI. Father instructed through the Washington Times and the CAUSA movement, we got to have SDI go. Green light. It was adopted because of the Father. Washington Times helped. Reagan administration accepted SDI, known originally as High Frontier, accepted as in policy. But the Soviet Union is going to doggedly bring it down. And we are the one who fight it up. SDI is ultimately their hope for the international security. Europe and Asia as well. So every conceivable scene, the national survival and the international survival is at stake. Father and our movement, especially the CAUSA and Father, will play the major role. This is true in Asia. As I said, tomorrow morning, we'll know what kind of victory we have won in Japan. Before Father came from Korea to the United States, we educated lawmakers in Korea. I gave the briefing to the congressmen in Korean National Assembly. In France, there was, our dear brother, Pierre Serrat, has been elected to the National Assembly as a Moonie. I'm sure you know quite close to France, and you know the situation better. It's virtually impossible fight men like Mr. Le Pen coming out of France and to create a God-centered, almost like a CAUSA ideological party, political party centered upon the CAUSA ideology. And from 0 to 35 congressmen in the Senate, in the National Assembly. And this is the kind of picture we presented to Father. This is 35, the members of the Le Pen party in the French Congress, and here in the center is the Le Pen. Here in the corner is our dear brother Pierre Serrat. When the Le Pen was exposed to CAUSA movement, when Tom, who was speaking good French and who was becoming a member in France, and who met with Le Pen, and the first thing we recommended as advice to Le Pen was, you speak about God in your political speech. And fearlessly speak about God. Stand up as a spokesman of God. We need that kind of politician in Europe. Political leaders. And he is now speaking about God. 2 political leaders in our world today speaking about God. One in Europe, Le Pen. The other in America, Ronald Reagan. Those 2 speaking fearlessly about God. That's what the CAUSA is all about. You know, when first time opening, when we talk about God, the people are become sort of, you know, very hesitating. But when we speak really sincerity and heart, by the end of the seminar, everybody is so comfortable speaking about God. Politicians and lawyers, it doesn't make a difference. It is true. It's really, in a way, the CAUSA is a God's party. CAUSA is a true GOP, God's own party. Our method, however, is not plunging ourselves into politics. Our method, Father clearly stated, through the education of ideology, by the armament of the human being with the ideology, God-centered ideology, which is Godism, we can change the political scene. We produce the political leaders. There's so many political leaders in Central and South America, which have become the embodiment of the CAUSA worldview, which you learn. They want to follow that worldview. Because communists gave the hope for 70 years, but that was like a mirage. It was nothing, complete illusion. So now everybody got lost. They want to grab something to hold on, and that's the real thing we can give them. That is a Godism. So this is what we can fill the empty heart of the political leaders, religious leaders, and civic leaders, you name it. So that men like Le Pen is God-centered leadership. Doesn't have to be doesn't have to be a Unification member, doesn't have to be he has to profess the CAUSA member. That is immaterial. We are going to cultivate God-centered leadership into center stage of European political scene. That must happen in France. France is an easier country to happen because that country was plagued with socialism, communism, and a communistic, socialistic president, Mitterrand. So it's an easy country to turn around. But eventually that wave must be spread in Germany, England, and Great Britain, Italy, and Austria, and many other 18 different countries of Europe. After all, what Europe is going to do will make a tremendous impact to the rest of the world. Central America, South America, Africa, Asia, all of the places, including the United States. No matter what, the United States, they're talking about a big thing, yet they respect their motherland, their homeland, their mother country, which is Europe. Their culture root is in Europe. What Europe does is so important to America. For that reason, Father already have this CAUSA movement landed several years ago in Paris. Paris is the city of light. The city of light, light means the truth. And the many French philosophers throughout history, they are not timid in pursuance of the truth. And many cases they pursue the wrong truth. However, the French people are honest people in a way. For the reason they make a mistake, they say it. So that you know, a couple of years ago, several years ago, there's a new philosophers movement. Those philosophers who praise Marxism, Leninism, you know, they eloquently, they knew that was wrong. They were wrong, so they turned around and truly denounced the Marxism as a hope and a wave of the future. But they did not have a real ideology to replace the Karl Marx, replace the Marxism. Until therefore, that point, Father asked CAUSA ideology to land in Europe. So another Normandy was conducted. After 40-some years later, this time this Normandy was a spiritual Normandy. Father's spiritual power landed in Normandy for the liberation of Europe. So that happened. This is why Father instructed the CAUSA Europe should be located in Paris. And from that point on spread all over Europe. Now Father instructed to have Paris, you know, not only Paris and France, Germany, Germany is such an incredibly important country, because Soviet Union's first target is West Germany, no question about it. Together with Austria, Holland, the three countries are so incredibly important. And Great Britain, and then Spain, Portugal and Italy, Greece, Turkey, in those areas, and the Scandinavian countries. And we got to arm Europe far more than Pershings or cruise missiles. Most important of all in Europe is Gaudism. Those 18 different countries armed with the Gaudism. This is what's most crucial for the survival of Europe. We can turn the wave here so that we can ignite liberation movement in Poland, Hungary, Czechoslovakia. We've got to do, reverse the tide. I tell you, I do not want to go on too long. I want to tell you, the communism is a bankrupted idea. The communism destined to doom. As I told you this afternoon, because of that, this is dangerous. Because they knew they cannot win, but they don't want to give up. So finally they do the desperate final assault. Like a snake. Satan is explained as a snake. Snake, even though heavily crushed, snake is a slow-dying animal. Even with the hip, with the tail, is trying to knock down the world once. That is what the desperate, movement of communism is all about. Therefore, next 3 years, from now on to 1988, Father, look at this as the most crucial time in human history. We gotta win. And then nobody will lead the crusade except you. In Europe, you. This many committed people in CAUSA and the divine principle, committed to the true parent, pledged life to the true parent. These are almost too many to turn the upside down of Europe and right side up of Europe. They're too many. That's the way Father sees. So next 3 years is going to be our testing ground. Testing ground. In France, they published the book, The Moon Empire. It's a 400-some page book. I was occupied a very large chapter, for hip hop. This big. I was very honored. Communists pay the money, research what the poor hip hop has done, and prepared this book. Apparently they spent $1 million to research this book. But the important thing is this: why poor hip hop become important in this book? Not because I'm a strong man, not because I'm head of state of some country, not because I'm a country like Gaddafi, Colonel Gaddafi, or Colonel Paul Hipa can fight with Gaddafi. Not because of that. Not because I'm well known, not because I'm well learned, but simply because I belong to Moon Empire. Belong to Father. This book, at least one thing, did a contribution to our movement. First time, communist left-wing element speak about our movement honestly. Honest book. Honest book. They no longer try to ignore our movement. They want to tell it like it is. The goal is to expose formidable enemy, which is Moon movement. They discredit the word brainwashing. Everybody in East and West, America and Europe, they keep saying that reunification, everyone is brainwashed, mind control. This book said, no, they are not brainwashed. They gave a new word. They are not brainwashed. This man said, I met many Moonies in all of the world. Europe, Asia, America, everywhere. None of them are zombies. None of them are mind controlled. None of them are controlled, and none of them are brainwashed. They have their own concept, dedication, complete understanding of what they're doing. So they must be called soldier monks. Soldier monks. So this book said, Pohi Page said, after super monk, that is Reverend Moon, I'm a junior monk. But they say soldier monk because we're fighting. I don't necessarily welcome it, that word, but I don't necessarily negate it. If they want to call me soldier monk, that's okay. After all, we are fighting communism religiously. Because this is the power we can finally overcome communism. Religious opposition. Religious fight against communism. Because communism is a religious commitment. So religious commitment alone, we can lick the communism. So I'm a monk. That's okay. But I'm a soldier too. Soldier. But I don't have any weapon. Except the power of truth and love. Heartalistic heart. That is our weapon. And no power under the sun can march of that heartalistic heart. That's you. Soldier monks. Congratulations. Soldier monks. Just for the same. Right? The moon over everywhere. The American Spectator. They have a very, very important article here about Washington Times, how powerful Washington Times is playing the role in United States politics, and they said title was that moon over the Potomac. Moon over the Potomac. So moon means father, right? Father over the Potomac. Potomac means Washington capital. Potomac River. That the Washington D.C. The moon is shining over the Potomac River. The moon is shining all over the places. All over the places. Moon is shining in France, over Seine. Moon is shining over Rhine. Moon is shining over Hudson River. Moon is shining over Han River. And after Nicaragua movie, Village Boy said, moon is over Nicaragua. Moon over Managua. Village Boys, they don't like the Nicaraguan movie because they tell the truth. It says that on PBS, that dirty little movie on Nicaragua, they call it dirty movie because we're telling the truth. And that the title was Moon over Managua. So moon is over everywhere. And here in Brazil is the moon over Brazil here. Father. And igniting the revolution in Brazil mountain. This is our church center. And the father's picture here. Then the small countryside center, revolution will be ignited in Brazil. This is again CAUSA. The CAUSA trucks, CAUSA book, magazine, and the CAUSA leader, Miguel, in Brazil, Dr. Miguel, and what the CAUSA book, and the CAUSA aid to Reverend Moon. There was a picture of the Prime Minister of Japan, Prime Minister Nakazone of Japan, then subtitle is said, Colonel Pohi Pak, Assistant to Reverend Moon. Father already decided to hire a new assistant. Prime Minister Nakazone is coming to become a father's assistant, and father asked let me go to Japan, take over Japanese Prime Minister's office. This magazine also helped me a great deal because any future kidnapper trying to capture Pohita will capture the Prime Minister of Japan. And they have a newspaper in Brazil. It said in the next election there will be 57 members of the National Assembly of Brazil will be elected out of CAUSA movement. They predicted. This Moon Empire book has become famous everywhere. There's a full-page story about this book. This appeared in Brazil, about the book published in France. But most important of all is this. There's a father's caricature holding the hammer and sickle, symbol of Soviet Union, and breaking it into two pieces. So you can see that the father's image everywhere is the only one man who can break the communism, who can defeat the communism. This is the image. You've got to bring out this image to tell every one of your countrymen that is your duty. After Nicaragua film, Father commissioned the Lee Shapiro production, which is our seminary graduate. Next the documentary movie will be Against the Empire, documentary on Afghanistan. So after Nicaragua, when the Nicaragua movie, in order to make that movie, our dear brother, Lee Shapiro, and our sister, two sisters, virtually risked their lives. Because they were going into behind the enemy line. They stayed there for 7 weeks, living on monkeys. They survived on monkey meat. Without it, they could not survive, probably. One time that Ellen Horry, one of the sisters worked in Honduras, was missing for 10 days. We thought she was captured or brutally killed. But thank God she was safe. She escaped to Honduras. So Lee Shapiro, when he makes that movie, he risked his lives. He gladly going on the enemy line. Because Father always asking, are you ready to go to Soviet Union? Are you ready to go to Eastern satellite countries? Are you ready to be underground movement in Soviet, held territories and so forth? And Lee wanted to demonstrate it. He entered into the Nicaragua, bring out most incredible film that brought the victory of the $100 million aid by the U.S. Congress. That is an incredible victory. And in the meantime, shine the Father's name. Really testimony to the Father through that film. And White House wrote, anybody read that? White House wrote Lee Shapiro a letter. The Ronald Reagan signed it. Yes, you haven't heard it? And it said, November 6, 1985, Dear Mr. Shapiro, it was very kind of you to screen your powerful documentary, Nicaragua Was Our Home, at the White House. The terrible suffering of the Mosquito Indians at the hands of Sandinista junta in Managua is a story that deserves to be better known. Your film brings to light the heartbreaking reality of this cruel persecution. Those who saw your film when it was shown here found it to be not only informative, but a deeply moving experience. I'm happy to learn that millions of Americans will also soon have the opportunity to share that experience, because White House is pushing that film to be shown PBS around the country. Then President Reagan said, I know your work in the film documentary medium is motivated not only by an artist's desire to tell the story and tell it well, but by your hatred of injustice and your compassion for its victims. Being a man of conscience, you touch the conscience of the audience, and this gives a special dimension to your work. Keep up with the good work, and God bless you. Sincerely, signed by Ronald Reagan, President of the United States. I'm going to send the letter back to the White House and retype, and I want edited, adding one sentence, because one sentence was not quite enough. It's good, but not enough. I'm going to ask him to retype, saying, being a man of conscience and being a proud son of our true parent, your touch, conscience is man's conscience. You touch the conscience of the audience. Then his letter would be better. Yeah. Right? Anyway, then Father commissioned him by saying, this time you go to, now you did have done Nicaragua, you go to Afghanistan, now against the empire. This film will be made, not only for the television purpose, but also for movie house purposes. And it's going to take about a year and a half to complete, but again, Lee Shapiro then have to confront the Soviet tanks, rocket launchers, airplanes, soldiers, and so forth. And the father and mother bought him a special clothes as a special blessing, so that it is spiritual bulletproof. Spiritual is anything, not any metal, anything like that, but father and mother always protect him. Now Lee, his spirit is very good. He said, I don't mind. I don't mind to die for the sake of the mission. But I know I have to come back alive because I have to bring back the film. So he has a pretty good excuse to come alive. Huh? I like that. I like that. So you always have a pretty good excuse to come alive. And the State Department even wrote to Dr. Bill Lay thanking the film. We never received such a kind word from State Department until this time. CAUSA is getting recognition from everywhere, all over the places. I want to now to really there's a young conservative organization. They're fighting. This is the one poster they made. Star Wars on nuclear war or nuclear wars, your choice. Because enemy is communists using Star War sort of twisted into offensive, connotation. Well, you imperialists creating war. So this young man the young people come up with this kind of slogan. Star Wars, would you like to Star Wars or nuclear war? Which one? You have a choice. And soon in the United States, United States Campaign Academy, like the United States Military Academy. This is the United States Campaign Academy is going to be created. Most politically astute, the young and the most prominent, the promising young people of the country, selected by one, come to this Campaign Academy, learn CAUSA worldview, and all other political campaign techniques, going out, assigned to all the hard-fighting campaign this fall, November, October, They will assist the campaign. Yet they are not necessarily all our members. All people who join with the CAUSA idea, they're willing to come to United Campaign Academy to become a political champion. Eventually, this kind of young leadership will be groomed in the future to run for the U.S. Congress and the U.S. Senate, gubernatorial, and the mayors, and so forth. New York Times recently described these young people as the left like thunder on the right. The movement organization name is STOP. That is Save the Oppressed People. STOP. Save the Oppressed People. Left like thunder on the right. So this is very interesting. Sit-in and vigil used to be the progressive prerogative of the student of the left, but apparently not anymore. The same method, 1960, 1970, the left-wing students mobilized. Now they use the same tactic for the good cause, for cause such as Angola. For example, look at this. They're fighting. Gulf oil, fuel Angolan slavery. Boycott, Gulf now. Gigantic Gulf company is in trouble now. And this is how they chain themselves in a Gulf station, tens of thousands of people turning in Gulf credit card, so that they cannot fuel the Cuban soldiers in Angola. Actually, Soviet Union and the Soviet surrogates, they live on the money of the United States and the free world. It's just simply incredible. Without free world help. I'm sure you heard this. Makrenko, is it Makrenko? Mikhail Makrenko is a Soviet dissident who came and plead the American public. You good American people, leave our Soviet Union, leave our Russian people alone in fighting our civil war. We are going to win inside the Soviet Union. Just don't help and abet and aid the enemies. That's the only plea we're hearing from Soviet Union. It's just simply incredible. Therefore, the CAUSA movement, what is important for us is not to fight inside the Soviet Union, or Poland, or Czechoslovakia, or Cuba, North Korea, and so forth. What is important is fighting in free world. Get the United States committed, Europe committed, Asia committed for this uncompromising battle against communism, then we shall win. That is the mission of CAUSA. We got to educate the continent and the nation, and we shall win. I want to really make a conclusion now. The time is getting really late, and I want to go back to some mission in other countries while I'm in Europe. I have to leave tomorrow morning early also, and I'm very glad to come and spend this time with you. This is the most historical time in my life. Particularly picture taking with you is very, very crucially important. So I want to say to you, Reverend Kim is a great leader, leading the European Front. You used to have Reverend Young-hee Kim, Mrs. Young-hee Kim. They were truly most central, most important spiritual leader of our movement after True Parent. Because there were three special families were selected after True Parent's holy wedding as a Noah's family. One is Reverend Yu, late Reverend Yu, who is deceased. The other is Reverend Young-hee Kim, and the other is One Pil Kim. So first father signed Young-hee Kim to European theater, which is your highest honor. You could not expect any better leadership than Young-hee Kim. And this time, father signed One Pill Kim, Reverend One Pill Kim, the European Theater. This is very crucially important because he is indeed Peter of our movement, the Peter's position of our movement. And he's the only one who come and follow the Father in North Korea and really know the all ordeal of North Korea. The spiritual root is such that European movement can only be blessed by having the presence of Reverend Kim. So I want you to know, the Father loved Europe. Father looked at Europe as such an important territory. Father wants you to be really strong and winning under the very important central spiritual heritage. So I understand Reverend Kim is returning tomorrow. So I want you to know it's such a great fortune. I want you to welcome him back home, European ground, well, what a very exciting applause to him, and really unite with him completely so they win the great victory that Father expects from you in Europe. Amen? Amen. And as far as Father is concerned, Father is now leading the final battle in the United States. Father may not necessarily stay in the United States too long, but Father has one more mission to accomplish in U.S. That is this year, and probably next year, and 1988. By 1988, that mission will be over. Then probably Father and Mother, true parent, shall establish our homeland, our palace, Garden of Eden, or our Vatican, whatever you name it, shall be established in Korea. And from that point on, spiritual light shall shine throughout the world. So even Father look at next 3 years as a crucial time to win worldwide global victory. So in which I want you to know, CAUSA is taking a major role, central role, frontline soldiers role. For the reason this conference, in this place, Camberg, in this day, is very historic. So I'm glad you attended this conference. I'm glad you did so well. I want to write a great letter of pledge, commitment to church parent tomorrow morning. We did our members' leadership conference in the United States. Everyone wrote the letter to Father, their commitment, their feeling about the CAUSA, what they're trying to do with CAUSA. In your case, particularly with Europe. Father liked that the pledge so much. Father made it into a special book and the saved and the archive item in East Garden right this now moment. I would like you to do the same. You, each one of you, with your signature, show the commitment to our church parent. And Tom will bring it back and will report to Father. Father will read it and will bind it into book form and save it in East Garden. That's why even this occasion it becomes more historical. All right, I think I have done much talk. And to make a long story become rather short, didn't I? Huh? I think I spent my 19 minutes, 45 seconds very well, didn't I? If I'm coming here alone, I would have powerless. The time for the blessed couple's age. The heavenly system is always work as a couple. So I invited my wife to come with me, and she walked into this place, and actually I'm the one who's sweating, but she's the one who's giving me power. So let's welcome Mrs. Fox. Amazing thing about my wife is this, I always work hard, and you know me, I'm sweating all the time. but father and mother always give her credit, not to me. Anyway, father and mother blessed, so therefore it is their prerogative. So I'm always, you know, whatever she said, I will do it. And I'm that type of, is a hand-picked husband? No, not quite, but good husband, I hope. And this time, I'd like to you to see my son. I have 3 sons and 3 daughters. I have 6 children, and he is the last one. And the Samuel Cox. So you can see that the Heavenly Four Position Foundation traveling together. That's very powerful. God and husband and wife and child, and that makes powerful. And I want to know, my family has been richly blessed, and I have, all of them are blessed, and finally my last daughter, Yeon Suk, has been married as the second 36 blessed couple in Korea in a recent month. You know that marriage, right? Yeah. That wedding. My daughter was selected, and married to who? Reverend Young Hee Kim's son. Yeah. So, Shin-gun Kim has become my son-in-law, and is the elder son of Reverend and Mrs. Young Hee Kim. And you know, I have such a respect for Young Hee Kim's family and upbringings and disciplines and faithful life in his home. So I'm just, you know, just so many different ways richly blessed. And so one more son to go, but he said his time will come long, long time later. But I'm not sure about that, you know. And I told him that you've got to be ready, you know, you never know. My daughter was in school. She was not even in Korea. But father all of a sudden called her name, and you'll be back to so-and-so. So nobody was there. So I was going out in front of father. I bowed down to father. Thank you to father. And I called my daughter in school. She said, am I blessed? She was completely, you know, is this dream or real? I told him, you pinch yourself to realize this is real. And she came to Korea and have the blessing, and it's really wonderful. So this second generation blessing of 36 couple represents a great deal for the blessing of the entire world. So the more blessing to come to Europe and your children in a later day, and those the members, young members, and weddings and everything, I'm sure all these things will come up. Upon the victory of Danbury, that foundation, we can have nothing but the victory and victory and victory after all. However, we have to win our victory condition this year, next year, 88. And of course, within that time, many, many important church events will occur. But meantime, I want you to know, Father expecting us to set the condition to deserve the blessing. That's all I could say. Thank you very much. God bless you.
I'd like to invite now Mr. Kalinas Begin to offer a prayer.
To parents and our brothers champions like the boy back. Abaji! Abaji! Abaji!
I don't know when I will see you, but I will definitely see you, right? The globe is our home, and we are the brothers and the sisters. We are one family of our true parents. We'll meet each other and in our mission everywhere. So God bless you, and a true parent blessing is upon you. Thank you, and Danke schön, right?
The breakfast will be served at from